Hello, everyone. Here we are back in all the usual places for another amazing live Q&A with none the other but Salena from the American Crochet Association after her amazing presentation about strategies to teach crochet. And there has been quite a conversation going on in the comments over on YouTube. So hop on over, everyone. Come and say hello to us. Put your questions forward. We did say we'll go back through the chat under that YouTube video and answer some of the questions that have been asked over there. But yes, strategies to teach crochet. This is such an amazing presentation. Whether you want to do it professionally and be a crochet teacher, or if you've ever been faced with the question, please teach me how to do this amazing craft, this is the presentation to watch because so many great points. Even going through the framework step by step, it's kind of not something that people really think about because now we know how to crochet. We think like, oh, granny square, it's easy, you can do it. But for someone who's never held the hook before, don't even know how to kind of start the yarn ball or whatever, it's really not that easy. It looks great and it's that iconic crochet look, but it's perhaps not the best thing to start with for someone who's never done a chain before. So that is why we've got the amazing Salena with us here to answer any of your questions. So go ahead. We've got loads of thank yous, loads of compliments on your presentation. So do ask your questions and do tell us what you want to know, because you've been crochet teacher for how long now?
Oh gosh, professionally since about 2009, but wow. I learned when I was 5. And I think that whenever you crochet, people want to, if they see you doing it, they want to learn. So, my whole life I've been teaching, but, doing it decently since 2009.
Decently, I love that. So have you ever counted how many people you kind of reached, how many people you taught to crochet, how many people come away from you and saying, right, I can do it now?
I used to when I gave in-person lessons because I have such a structured way of doing it myself. Mm-hmm. And so I would have data sheets on every one of my students. So I had a data sheet of exactly who I was teaching and exactly what they learned and where they were at in the process. And I took everything that I learned and I, turned it into digital courses. So now that I'm teaching online through the American Crochet Association with Craftsy, I've literally taught probably tens of thousands of people how to crochet.
Awesome. How amazing is that?
Unstoppable.
Awesome superpower that you have.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
I had that intention. I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could teach the world to crochet? But it's really amazing that, I filmed those courses years ago. Yeah. And I still see people in email or, in my groups and things. And they're like, I learned to crochet from you because of your book or your course.
Yeah. So this is Andrea. Andrea's here saying, I learned everything to get started from your old crafty courses.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I sold patterns. That's where I first found out about you. I started selling patterns on Craftsy back when they did indie patterns.
Yes.
And that feels like decades ago now. It's not, but it feels like it. And I came across you and I was like, oh, she does she does lessons, she does, oh my gosh, this woman, she's amazing. So, yeah.
I'm just persistent. I just never go away.
Won't get rid of me that easy.
No.
You're consistent. It's a different thing. You're consistent with your
okay, we'll say that. I am consistent.
You are consistent with your teaching. And I think teaching anything, that's what you need to be, isn't it? You need to be consistent with your messaging, consistent with your method. And that's exactly what you're saying in this presentation.
Yes.
It makes so much sense. And when I watched it, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. My mum taught me how to do a granny square completely out of the goodness of her heart, bless her, because she was like, oh, it's really easy because she's been crocheting for so long. It is easy for her to do.
Yeah.
It was not easy for me to do because I still had to get her to make, I didn't know, because she didn't even know about a magic ring then either. So she did the chains and I was like, that's too fiddly, I can't do that. You just start me off. You do the first 2 rounds and then you go, and so you never learn how to do the beginning part.
Exactly. And I mean, that's how I learned. I learned when I was about 5 years old. We were taught with very specific projects, and it was all by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to learn how to make a granny square. Let me show you how to do it. We're going to make these props for a school play, because I went to a hippie school. And so we were making these really specific things. But I was just kind of like, okay, I'm doing what you're showing me, but I have no idea what that is. I don't know that these are stitches. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything was very accidental. And what I've learned through, my lifetime of learning and teaching is that my experience and your experience is so much of the experience of people learning to crochet. We learn because someone tells us what to do with a project. And then we're like, well, I made this thing, but I can't tell you anything about what I've done. And I don't know how to apply this to anything else.
Yeah. It's such a different mindset, isn't it? To actually learn how to do something, how to do it as an umbrella thing, as opposed to learning a specific thing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's much more applicable then, and much, much easier then to learn more things, I think, isn't it? If you get the good foundations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. We've got a few questions coming in already. We have Hannah saying, I'm right-handed and my daughter is left-handed. What is the best way to go about teaching her? She's 4.
Yeah. So in crochet, there are, hold on, let me back it up. Let me give you the short version. So all the stitches, all of the basic stitches that you do in crochet, they're the same right-handed and left-handed. And so whenever you're teaching the very basics, whatever makes sense to them visually, however they sit with you, in front of you, or next to you, it's whatever makes sense for them. You can show them all the basics and they're the same. It's just a mirror. So I think that, you don't have to overcomplicate it or think, well, I'm right-handed, you're left-handed, I have to find a left-handed person or something. You can teach them just the basic, just the foundation stitches. And they're going to pick that up to do other things. So really the only things that don't translate from left to right or right to left are any kind of patterns that are not symmetrical, because when it's symmetrical, you can do a mirror image of it. But when it's not symmetrical, that's when it's like, wait a minute, I cannot do what the pattern's telling me to do in reverse because it's not something symmetrical. For example, I didn't realize this until I was teaching very early on. And I thought, I'm gonna teach with a project that incorporates all of the stitches and techniques in something small. We're gonna make a baby booty. And I thought this is such a great project to teach everything. And it wasn't symmetrical. And so all of my lessons worked with this left-handed student until we got to this baby booty. And then we're halfway through and I was like, oh, what? Wait a minute. So that's really the only hindrance. So understanding that early on, whenever you're teaching someone, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you can still teach and pass on crochet in the basic way or with the basic principles. It's not until a pattern is, asymmetrical that you go, well, we're going to have to get you a right-handed specific or left-handed specific version of this for it to work. So hopefully that helps.
Definitely. I've got Julia's here saying that my grandmother insisted I learn to make chains before moving on over 50 years ago. Your grandmother was a wise woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, hang on. Oh, Bethany's asking something about your courses and your association. I feel like a beginner when you listed all the skills to know to teach. If I join the association, are all the classes free or do you still pay for some?
Sure. So I offer a few different options. So if you just join the crochet membership, you get a library of learning how to crochet, building skills. There's something called a 12-course learning path there. So no matter where you are in your crochet knowledge, skill, and ability, it will just give you a solid foundation. And that's the crochet membership. Then I offer professional courses. So if you want to learn how to teach crochet, if you want to sell crochet projects, if you want to write crochet patterns, those are separate. But really just anyone is invited to join the crochet membership for just a library of knowledge, skill, and ability to do whatever you'd like to in crochet.
You have so much in there. Every time I do something with you or I look at your stuff, I'm like, how is there so much content here? There's so much.
I worked real hard on it. And when I say crochet is my lifestyle, I'm being so for real.
My husband said that to me the other day. He's like, are you actually going to stop at any point? I was like, nope, never stop. He's like, okay, that's fine. Just so I know.
Just so he knows what he's in for.
Yeah, definitely. This is an interesting question. My 12-year-old is learning, but she has a habit of pulling the yarn over the hook with her fingers. Is there an easy way to teach her to trust the hook and let it do the job?
Yeah. So another element in the way that I teach crochet, and you can even see this, for example, on my YouTube channel. I have free videos on all of these basics that I'm talking about, and holding yarn and hook is one of them. If you've never done it before, if you've never done something like crochet, it's really strange for people to do something with this hand and this hand, and they're each doing something different, and your hands naturally want to like kind of, like crush it a little bit, right? So something that I tell people to practice, because it does feel so awkward, is to hold your yarn to where your hand is a little bit more extended. So you hold the tension of the yarn between these two fingers, and then you hold your work with these two fingers. And then by extending your hand like that, and again, there's a video, you don't have to go, wait, slow down, let me see that again. By holding your work and your yarn like this in this hand, it allows both of your hands to work a little more independently, and it's less strained. It's less, you're not having to strangle your yarn or your work. So definitely check out that video that's referenced on my YouTube channel and see if that's a more comfortable, easier way for her to hold her work.
It comes with time as well, or maybe not in my case, because I have recently had someone tell me that I was crocheting completely wrong. And this is sorry everyone, sorry. And that because I throw it because I learned from my mum, who is an amazing knitter. She can crochet very, very well, but she is predominantly a knitter. She throws her yarn, and she was taught by her mum, who was also a knitter, and they threw their yarn. So I just copied what they did, because that's how you crochet in my life. That's how it worked. It wasn't until I started, and I was still and I still do it now because it's such a learned behavior. I didn't realize until quite a long way down the line that most people don't crochet like that, Hannah. And I'm really sorry, everyone, but I'm kind of stuck with it now.
I don't think it's a muscle memory as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. If I needed to, I could unlearn it. I know I could, but you know how, when you get, because you never know how people's hands, if they have problems with their hands and they have to work in a certain way, etc. Like, this is just how my hands work. It's what I've got, I'm afraid.
Who do you need to unlearn it for?
But that's the other point.
You are comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, my perception, and I'm even seeing comments like Sarah saying, I know I hold my yarn and my hook wrong.
Yeah.
And what I want to tell people about that is that there are technical steps you follow to do any stitch, right? So it's yarn over, not yarn under, because those are different, right? So it's like, as long as you're following yarn over, insert your hook into what part of the stitch. So whenever you understand the technicality of what your hook is supposed to do, your hands can hold it in any way. That doesn't matter. So there's no right or wrong way to hold your yarn and your hook, as long as that hook is grabbing the yarn in a specific way and going in specific places. It's about comfort, and it's about whether or not you can get some repetition that's comfortable for you. So there's no wrong way.
I love it. Julia's saying the same. There are no crochet police. There's only what works for your stuff. Absolutely. And I do wonder if you probably get students in your classes as well that having that confidence issue. We're saying, I don't feel like I'm doing it right.
Right.
How do you support people through that?
Yeah. So I love just going through the absolute basics and talking about things in a very simplistic, technical way. I don't like to use my own language. I like to use industry standard language. And that way, if you understand what things are called, if you understand exactly what it means to do something, then I think that just through practice, you're going to get more confident and comfortable. Yeah. I think that when we're all using different language, when we're all doing, like, am I doing this right? Because Hannah holds her hook this way, but Veronika holds it this way, but Salena holds it this way. If people get hung up on those things instead of the technical aspects, I think that's where the confusion comes in. So just breaking it down in really simplistic ways, and just breaking down also, yeah, it doesn't matter how you hold your yarn and your hook, as long as you're doing this thing exactly. Hopefully that gives people the confidence to feel comfortable with what they're doing and do more.
And to be honest with you, if the three of us made the granny square and we put it next to each other, who would know how you hold your hook, you know?
Oh, and that's true, yeah.
You know, I can be hanging upside down from the ceiling and have the yarn wrapped around my neck and crochet granny square.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I might give it a go one day. You never know.
That could be the next summit, actually. The how you make a granny square.
Yeah, alternative ways to crochet. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what? There was a competition in my son's school, the weirdest places to read. I might just start one, the weirdest places to crochet.
You know, I think you should. I like that.
I think I should, shouldn't I? Yeah, let's do that.
Very Dr. Seuss. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, Heather's saying, I've seen hurtful comments about YouTubers that hold their hook differently. It's not constructive at all. We're all unique. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's an important thing if people are looking to teach people as well. Yeah. It's about empowering people and being constructive for them. It's not about saying this is the way you have to do it.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
That would totally discourage you if you went to a crochet class and you were right from the start, you were told, no, you hold it wrong. This is not how you hold it. That's definitely not the way to go down.
Sarah says that I crochet leaning on my cat Monica, and she likes it. If she sees me crocheting, oh, that's so sweet. She comes over and lets me lean on her.
Yeah,
not everyone has a Monica, so not everyone can crochet like that, can they? So it's all good.
Yeah. Sarah's the first entry in my weirdest places to crochet competition.
I'm just going to scoot back here because we had a question up here about hooks. Using steel hooks and always need to go down 2 hook sizes to meet gauge. Any advice on different hook brands that can assist with this?
Wow. I think that if you're, my perception, my advice is if you're ever struggling with tension, I think steel hooks is the way to go, just because, you know, if you're too tight, then, you know, if you're using something like plastic, then you could break it. So I think steel is a really good way to go. Your tension is too, wow, you always have to go down 2 hook sizes. Interesting. I think just the more you practice and the more you practice with different kinds of materials. I have different tension when I use different kinds of yarn. I have different tension when I use different materials of hook or even styles of hook.
Yeah.
So you could try a different brand. You can try more ergonomic hooks. You know, some of my favorite hooks have really big, thick ends, and it just relaxes my hand enough to where it relaxes my tension more. So I think that there's too much nuance there. So I'm just going to simmer it down to, I think just the more you practice with really simplistic things, then you're going to get more comfortable with, you know, what it means to crochet with this particular fiber or this particular weight of yarn or this particular hook style. And working with really simplistic projects. You know, don't try all this out while you're making a lace sweater or something. Try all this out when you're making like a pot holder or a washcloth, something really small that you can see and make adjustments on a really small scale, and just kind of get to know yourself and the different materials that you use.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, if you say even the combination, when you have a say steel hook with like a really soft merino wool, that's gonna slide and glide everywhere, as opposed to like a plastic hook with cotton. That's gonna be really, you know, tough and stuff. So like you said, Salena, just try and see different combinations and see how you get on with the tension. Yeah.
Absolutely, because cotton's going to feel different than a wool. That's going to feel different than acrylic. And using a plastic or a bamboo or a steel hook, those are each going to feel different too.
Yeah,
definitely. There's so many variables. That's the thing, isn't there? It's not just learning how to do it. It's then learning about your tools and about your fiber and about your everything else. It's, crochet is amazing and it's really straightforward. However, there are lots of things that you need to learn about it. That's the thing, isn't there?
Yeah, you can get really technical with stuff, can't you? You can really, like, you know, crack down on all the details.
You can, but I say that but I'm going to follow that up with, because I agree. I think that there are certain things that we can do to pass on to beginners that are going to be easier for them to pick up. So saying all of this, I don't want anyone to be like, oh my gosh, crochet is impossible. How am I ever going to pass this on? There are certain tips that I think are going to be easier for most beginners to pick up.
Yes.
So, and to learn more about that, of course, it's in, my course, and, I've written entire blog articles on things like this. So anything that you want to know about passing on this craft, I do have little tips that will make it easier for beginners to pick up.
Awesome.
And I think as well, anyone venturing into it, I would say personally, don't think you're going to give them all of your knowledge in one sitting. Like you can't, and that's the thing. Like we're saying there is so much, but you don't need to learn that straight away. There are so many things that you can just do simply and straightforwardly and learn this part of it. And this is what you're saying, isn't it? It's a step-by-step process and build that knowledge. Don't expect to learn it all in one go, because you don't need to. That's the other thing. You really don't need to, do you?
Absolutely. I love to use food analogies and everything because I like food, but everyone understands the language of food too. So whenever people want to learn crochet, they, if they come to me and they're like, I want to learn crochet because I found Hannah's sweater on the internet and I want to learn by making this I want to learn by making this sweater or making this thing, right? And I say to them, I am so glad you want to learn crochet. And I'm so glad that you're excited to make this thing. And we're going to get to that. But it's there are things we're going to do first to get to that. So think about it this way. Think about it like you're telling me, I want to learn how to cook and I need to make Thanksgiving dinner. Like we can make Thanksgiving dinner, but we're going to chop onions first. We're going to chop onions for a long time so you can get comfortable with just learning what a knife is and that onions make you cry, and then we'll get to all the other things that come with it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. My son has just started learning cricket for the first time ever at school. And so like he's 8. And it's really interesting because both of my brothers played quite competitively with cricket. And so it was in our house and we knew it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, he doesn't know how to catch a ball yet. He doesn't know how to, like, you can't, like saying, okay, you need to put some spin on it. What? How do you put spin? And then my brother was with him and said, oh, well, you need to shine this side of it and you need to do it. And there were loads of technicalities that, of course, cricketers will understand. But Elliot, bless him, his face was like, do I just throw it? What do I do? Like he was completely lost. So it's like you have to start with the foundations for anything. To learn anything, you have to, don't you?
Literally anything, because even the terms that we use that we're so comfortable with, even me saying yarn over, a beginner's going to be like, I don't even know what you're telling me right now.
Yeah,
definitely. Oh, we have a wonderful vote for you here. Selena's courses are the best ones out there.
Thank you, Dana. I know Dana.
I'm going to go back. I've been waffling. Sorry. Okay, I've lost track of the comments now. Kay is saying, I'm left-handed and my right-handed aunt taught me to crochet with my right hand. I couldn't control it holding under the hook, so I hold over the hook. Here we are. And a question from Jessica. What if a beginner wants to start by making a project? What would be the best thing to teach so that it's basic lessons first?
Yeah. So, I mean, just like that example I just gave of someone saying, oh, I want to learn, I want to make, Hannah's or Veronika shirt or something I want to make a granny square blanket. I don't want to discourage people by saying that's not how you start. It's like, I'm so glad you want to make that. We're going to work towards that.
Yeah.
So just kind of like my food analogy, like before we can make a roast dinner with like so much technicality that you want to look and taste great, let's start with something really basic. We got to learn how to chop vegetables. So in crochet, that analogy is let's learn how to hold yarn and hook. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with that. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to start with the very basic stitches. We're going to chain, we're going to half double crochet, and we're going to do that really well to where you're so comfortable with that. And then we can move on to the next stitch. And I think when you incrementally give them a framework of we're just doing this today, practice this. Next time we meet, we're going to do this next thing. When you show people the path of what they're going to learn and what they're working towards, I think that it gives them enough time and grace with themselves to practice and not feel discouraged, and they understand what they're working towards.
I think it's really
You can always kind of, I'm just thinking, you know, starting from the basics. Like my thinking was, if you start with the chain stitch, you can always turn it into like a bracelet, you know, so they get that little satisfaction from, yes, I'm learning the real basics, but you can, you know, tie it around their hand. That's your bracelet. When you start with, say, the single crochet, you can make, I don't know, a simple, just kind of keep going into a rectangle and turn it into a pencil case, you know, just build up something like that, that anticipation of making something, and that satisfaction from finishing something and making something into a finished article. So maybe build on their skills that way and just turn it into real simple projects to keep that enthusiasm going until they build up the knowledge to make the project that they actually set out to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you show people, like, as a whole, I will teach you crochet, and this is what it looks like to learn crochet. This is what it looks like to work in rows, in rounds, in tubes. Like, these are the fundamentals and the basics. Like, I'm going to teach you on a really small scale using very small, simplistic swatches. And that way, you know, show me what you want to make. You want to make a sweater like this? Okay, well, that sweater is worked in joined rounds, and I taught you that with this project. That sweater is worked top down in rows, and I showed you how to do that with this project. So I think showing people, you know, the progression of what it means to be you know, a learner at the basic level, I think that in itself is pretty encouraging.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, we're referencing back to Sarah's cat again. Marissa's saying my cat just tries to eat the yarn. There's that too. Yeah. I don't have a cat, but I have 2 dogs, but they don't care about. But my children like to lick my yarn. This weird habit. If they know that it's coming up, they'll unwind it, and then when I get to it, I've got this little section here that's wet. I find it hilarious.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, why?
And I don't know which one of them taught the other one to do it, but they both do it.
It's a thing now. Yeah.
It's now a thing. Anyway, weird and wonderful. Hey. We have someone saying, I'm never able to follow a pattern because I'm very specific in the yarn I like, so gauge swatches never help. I just choose the yarn I want and work the pattern to fit the yarn. Is that nuts? I would say no, if it works for you.
It works, and if it gets you to the finished project you want to make, then why not?
Yeah. I mean, I think whatever you're doing for yourself, if you like it, again, we were saying this to begin with, there's no crochet police. Whatever you want to do, if you think it's fantastic and it's for you, then, you know, I'm not going to go to you and say, well, this granny square blanket would have been fantastic, but you chained 2 in the corner instead of 3. So
how dare you?
I don't know.
Sometimes I do that myself. I'm not consistent with what I'm doing, and I'm like, what did I do there? You know, like,
that's why I write it down. And sometimes I'll go back to an old pattern and I'm like, oh wow, I did it that way, not this way. That's interesting.
Yeah, it might be more of a memory problem than a consistency, isn't it?
Maybe a little bit of that too. I don't know.
This is true. I think this is when we were talking about holding and tension and stuff. I now have arthritis, which has changed my tensioning a great deal. Do you find people, Salena, need to come and almost relearn again if they then have problems with their hands, for example, if they have carpal tunnel, if they have arthritis, etc.? Is there an element of people needing to relearn how they crochet?
I think it depends on what your pain point is. You know, I've you know, people have different, you know, either in their hands, their fingers, their wrists, shoulders. You know, sometimes I have shoulder pain and it changes how I have to sit or hold my work. So I think depending on the pain point you have, first and foremost, I am not a doctor or a medical professional. So always seek your own doctor or medical professional to see what your pain point or ailment is and see what they suggest in terms of you working through that so that you can continue your craft. So I'll start with that. But outside of that, I think depending on your pain point, I mean, you might have to incorporate different stretches before you crochet, before and after, or you might have to change the tools that you're using. For example, you know, about 10 years ago, I switched to ergonomic hooks with huge handles because it was so uncomfortable for me to hold these tinier handles without any grip. I no longer work on really tiny, tight projects. Like I would never make an amigurumi now because that would just kill my body. So there are a lot of changes that I've made, in the tools that I use, the things that I make, how I hold my work that are comfortable for me so that I'm not having to recover after crocheting. So I think it's another one of those things. There is a lot of nuance. You should always listen to your body. And if you have pain, if you're having to recover after crocheting for any amount of time, think about all of the things that you're doing, how you're sitting, where you're sitting, how you're holding your work, what you're doing. If you're like this after a few minutes, like, wow, why am I so, is it because I'm working amigurumi and that really stresses me out?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot involved, and think about all of those things and really listen to your body so that you're not doing harm and having to limit this craft that we all love.
Definitely. It makes me think of when I was doing commissions for magazines, and they get you to, as you know, create weird and wonderful things. So I was commissioned to make a hammock with a crazy edging, and it was with not t-shirt yarn, but like the thicker one than that. What was it that came out?
Like macrame kind of.
It was so big, and it was so big, and I needed like a 25mm hook, and I really hurt my shop because I was also on a deadline as well. I was like, it's very hard in publishing, isn't it? You have to keep pumping out patterns and designs. And I had like a week or so to make this thing, and I was working full time. It was around a job, and I really hurt my shoulders because I was just so intent on getting this done and getting it designed. And for a good year or so after that, I had really bad problems with my shoulders. So it's really important to take care, to get all of these fundamentals, but get them right with your health as well, I think.
Yeah.
And don't make hammocks.
That's a good cautionary tale, honestly.
Don't ever make a hammock. It's not worth it.
Oh my gosh.
It looked amazing, and they did it beautifully in their photo shoot. But yeah, no, don't make a hammock.
Never again.
One and done. Yeah,
definitely. Where did I just see? I saw Jessica M say that bracelet is what my grandma had me make at 9. Oh, that's so
awesome.
That's so lovely. And this is wonderful. A quote from Michael Jordan saying, "Get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise." Very, very good. Very good quote.
Wise words.
Yeah. Oh, and Linda saying, "I broke both my wrists years ago and have had relearning crochet."
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
It's hard.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. And then Angelica saying, "I bought a hand massage machine. It's absolutely amazing when I've been crocheting and knitting for a bit too long, which isn't hard to do when you're in the groove." Yeah, I often get distracted, and then I realised, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I
lose the track of time.
Yeah, when you're in the zone. So that's interesting. Yeah, I've seen them, but I've never tried one. I don't know. I think they're quite a good thing to have, aren't they?
I'm going to have to, Angelica, you're going to have to share that product link with me, because I feel like I need this, but I don't think I've seen this before. So I need to know more.
I've seen them. I think the ones that I've seen, you kind of literally just put your hand in, encases your hand, and then it I think
it's like air pockets that kind of inflate and deflate, and it like massages your hand from what because I looked at one, to be honest with you. I was thinking of getting one. It was just one random one on Amazon. I think it's just, how do they actually work? So yeah, they kind of like inflate and deflate, and they like massage your hands. So
yeah, that feels like science fiction, like flying cars. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to look into that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're too bad on the price either. I mean, you can buy a really expensive one, but there are some budget-friendly options as well that probably do exactly the same thing. So,
all right, yeah, no, that sounds like a fantastic thing to have for crocheters.
Yeah.
We'll put that on the Christmas list this year.
Definitely. And Keelan Grove saying, "I use compression gloves too when my hands get sore." And I've seen a few designers actually using hand supports and stuff as well. So Hand health is so important. Well, everything health is so important, but especially for us, isn't it? Your hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you need to save those hands to be able to learn to crochet properly.
And then amigurumi conversation. It's really interesting when you said in the presentation about, everyone thinks amigurumi, and that's what, when people are teaching children, they very often go to, don't they? Because they're cute and they're quick and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really quite hard on your hands. Yeah. Definitely.
It is.
However, Heather has said, no, not that one, Hannah. Click the next one. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. I make bigger amigurumi now because I can't use the small hooks. So if it's just using the small yarn and hooks that's the problem, then just size up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and that was it. Linda, I clicked on your, sorry, let's go back to your saying, after bilateral wrist fractures, I changed how to hold the hook and yarn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've never thought about that before, actually, if you have a change in your state, actually you'll need to relearn, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
definitely.
It's like learning to walk after you break your leg, isn't it? You just kind of feel like you have to do it all over again.
Definitely. Oh, interesting one from Angelica saying, how do you choose what kind of yarn you use for the pattern you're designing?
That's a whole other conversation. I do not have a short answer for that.
Me neither.
We need to schedule another. That could be an hour-long chat.
That's the topic for next year's summit. Then there we go. Done.
Salena, sign up.
So many variables. But then so we've got Juliet as well on the taking care of ourselves. So support pillow under your elbows and lower arms helps a lot. Yes, definitely. And a good neutral position for your spine as well. Make sure you're not too hunched over. That's the other thing. But that's very hard, isn't it? Because like when I'm saying I want to relax, so I want to sit in a relaxed. But my mum's really interesting. When she knits and crochets, she literally sits on the edge of her seat. She's like right at her seat, bolt upright. And that was just how she was taught. She never, I'm like, just relax, mum. She's like, no, I'm knitting, I'm crocheting, I'm upright. So
well, but she's been doing it for a number of years, so she's clearly doing something right.
She knows. Yeah. Oh, and then saying about the hand. Sorry, my dogs are saying, "Come on,
don't worry."
Can you hear them?
I'm glad it's not my dog yet. I figured it would definitely be my dog.
Yeah. They're fine. They're just like, hello. Actually saying, yes, you put your hand in it, the massager. Like, you can heat it up or have a.
It just gets better, doesn't it?
Okay, these things.
I wonder whether they do like a whole body one where you just slide yourself in.
Just sit in it.
I think if it's not invented, this is our calling, ladies. It's a $1 million idea right here.
I reckon.
And all over crochet massager, yeah. All your crochet needs.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Right, we've run out of time, everyone.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Can sit here and chat forever.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us again. If you haven't signed up to Salena has a freebie in the whole system as well that you can sign up for. Make sure you do that, and then you will know all about all of her. Sorry, my dogs, they're so noisy. All about all of her courses and everything. So wherever you are in your crochet journey, Salena definitely has something for you.
Definitely. So thank you so much for joining us again, and hopefully see you very soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, ladies. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed my chat today. If you need help or have any questions, I'm just an email away.
Yay.
Thanks.
Fantastic.